I ask unanimous consent that I be recognized to speak in morning business.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is indeed a humbling honor to serve the great people of South Carolina in the United States Senate. I am so grateful for the support that I have received from South Carolinians. The success of the Palmetto State can be measured in many ways, but today, let me share the success of our economic engine. From insourcing jobs from countries, jobs like Otis Elevators in Florence, South Carolina, or high-tech boom that's happening throughout South Carolina. Companies like BMW and the upstate continue to expand. Michelin in Anderson County expands. Continental Tires finds a home in Sumter, South Carolina. And more than 5,000 new jobs on the coast of South Carolina because of Boeing. And let's not forget Aiken, South Carolina, where Bridgestone has made a new home. South Carolina is and will continue to be a leading manufacturing engine for America. Mr. President, I stand before you today on the shoulders of two very amazing Americans. One has gone home to be with the Lord. The other is my hero, my mother, Frances Scott. Growing up in a single-parent household, my mother would have to work sometimes 16-hour days in order to keep me and my brother off of welfare. She wanted us to have a good example of someone who believed in hard work for us to follow. My mother used to tell me all the time that if you shoot for the moon and you miss, you'll be among the stars. But I didn't always listen to my mother. I'm not sure if you know how that works sometimes. And so by the time I was a freshman in high school, I was drifting. And have you ever noticed you don't really drift in the right direction? So as a freshman in high school, I failed out. I failed world geography. I think I'm the only United States senator to ever fail civics. I also failed Spanish and English. Mr. President, when you fail Spanish and English, they don't call you bilingual, sir. They do not. They call you biignorant, because you can't speak in any language. And that's where I found myself, Mr. President. I will tell you that I found myself in a very strong and hard position. But good fortune strikes. I had two blessings. One was a mother who believed that sometimes love has to come at the end of a switch. And for those of you who are not aware of a switch, it is a motivational apparatus. It encouraged me a lot. And I will tell you that along with my mentor, John Moniz, who came along at the right time as a sophomore, I found my way back on the path. And John Moniz, the Chick-fil-A operator who made such a major impact in my life over the last 3 decades. John came along as I was a sophomore in high school, and he taught me some very, very valuable lessons. A couple of those lessons that John started teaching me very early on was about being a business owner. You see, John believed that you could literally think your way out of poverty. You didn't have to be an entertainer or an athlete, but you could become an entrepreneur. And so John started teaching me some of the lessons of being a business owner. He said, having a job, this is a good thing, but creating jobs is even better. John would teach me later that earning an income, you have done well. But if you can learn to create a profit, you've done fantastic. He taught me some other lessons about individual responsibility. John once told me that if you don't like where you are, look in the mirror. Blame yourself. You see, John was trying to teach me some very valuable lessons about individual responsibility. I learned very quickly from John that if you were a part of the problem, you were also part of the promise. That in fact, if you saw yourself as a part of your obstacle, you may have just found the key ingredient to your opportunities. It took a little time before the lessons of my mentor and the strong discipline of my mother started to germinate in my soil, but it finally did. And after 4 years of having John as my mentor, something very tragic happened. At the young age of 38, John suddenly passed away. And I will remember the day before his funeral, like it was yesterday. I sat down and I wrote out my mission statement: to positively impact the lives of 1 billion people with a message of hope and opportunity. Hope being my faith in Christ Jesus, and opportunity being the lessons of financial literacy and financial independence that I learned from my mentor, John Moniz. Well, I decided to follow in the footsteps of my mentor, John. I started my own business, and I learned very quickly the challenges of signing the front of the paycheck when you could not sign the back for yourself. And over the last 2 decades, as a business owner and as an elected official, whether it was as a member of county council, or as a member of the South Carolina House of Representatives, or being elected to the United States Congress, I have used as my foundation the lessons that I have learned from my mentor and my mother. During my time here in the Senate, I will focus on a few key issues, including education, economic empowerment, and controlling our spending addiction. As a small business owner over the last 15 years, I can tell you firsthand that our tax code is broken. With the highest corporate tax rate in all the world and the taxing of small and family-owned businesses at an alarming rate, we will continue to produce a slow-growth economy. And the regulatory nightmare facing our small business owners today is only worsened by the Unaffordable Care Act, as my good friend Congressman Kucinich said yesterday. Further, with over 70,000 pages of new regulations in the last 5 years, the compliance cost for small businesses is staggering. We do not simply need a delay in the employer mandate, we need a repeal of the employer mandate. On education, I will tell you as a poor kid, by the time I was in the 4th grade, I had already attended 4 schools. It is very difficult for us to fund the right school with sometimes the transient nature of poverty. You have to move a lot. I believe that the system and the people closest to the child are in the best position to provide the highest quality of education for that child. So there's no way a bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. can better educate a child in Lexington County than that child's parents and the teachers who are so involved in that education. We need a national debate on education. Parents need more choices so that their kids will have a chance. So let's debate it. Let's debate charter schools, Mr. President. Let's debate public school choice, private school choice, tax credits, high school, homeschoolers. Whatever it takes to improve our education system should be on the table for discussion. Let me close with this. If we create a competitive tax code and a fair, sensible regulatory environment, as well as a world-class education system, we will create the best economy known to man, just like we have in times past. You see, Mr. President, the best and the brightest days are still ahead for America. Our strongest moments, our strongest stands are still in our future. I believe in the greatness of America because I have experienced the goodness of her people. In America, an ordinary guy like me can be blessed with an extraordinary opportunity like this. Thank you, and God bless America.